All right, everybody, welcome. I hope you can hear my voice because there's always been some problems with the audio. I have a microphone there. Let's. Everybody, welcome. I hope you can hear my voice because there's always been some. Let's turn off the live stream from that screen over there. So there's already quite a few people, 46 of you there. Great, and let's see where you guys from. There are people from Arizona. So there's probably not very much snow in Arizona, I assume. California, hi Randy. Manchester, UK. I don't know if I'm gonna show you my shirt, but I don't know if this is the right. Whoops, it's this way. If this is the right shirt, probably not. I hope I won't lose you. And then we have. All right, idea here. You're fine. Great to hear. Uruguay, Poland, France, North Florida, Denver, Colorado. That's cool. It's really great to have you all here. And I did get quite a few images from you guys. But first, let's go through a bit of the program that I will have today. I have a small announcement. I had just had a meeting over Zoom with Jimmy Cheng from Red 35, and we have something coming up together, which is not in YouTube, but somewhere else, and I will talk about that in a moment. And then we will go through your images, feedback, and I got about 80 images, and I will go through about 32, I think I picked. So I'm really sorry that I cannot go through all your images, because as I said already, the amount of the amount is big, but also the quality was really great this time. And I think one reason, of course, was that it wasn't strictly a assignment for a new image that you could pick from your archives, your images, because of the unfortunate situation in the world that we all cannot move freely where we want to because of the virus. And I hope that you all are safe and good with that and have not suffered too much, because it's been a rough year for most of us. But let's keep up the good spirit and keep on making images. And then I will also announce the next assignment in the end. And I hope we will do all this in about 2 hours, so you have a rough schedule how long I'm gonna talk about your images. But then about the announcement, I will have a photography chat with Jimmy and Peter named talk show podcast on Clubhouse, which is the new hype app that everybody's talking about. And unfortunately, at the moment, it is only for iOS and invitation only. So we are not expecting a huge crowd at the start, but we want to try something new. And it is an audio only app. So we will be talking about, and the subject is about bokeh, which we will be discussing with Jimmy, that what bokeh is, and do you need to have a great bokeh or not, and all about that. And the way Clubhouse works is that it's kind of mixed up with podcast, Zoom, and a live stream on YouTube, even though it's only audio. And there's also a possibility to ask questions from us. So if you have iOS device and can get a invite to Clubhouse, and please join us next Sunday. And I will post on my community post more information about that. But I'm really excited about starting something totally new with Jimmy, because I really like Jimmy and his channel Red 35. So that's going to be interesting to see how all that will be. And let's there's already talk about my my shirt. I guess it was a mistake. It was a mistake, Well, sorry. Let's talk about that. That's just a moment. This is not the thing that I'm here for. It's because I'm a really big fan of Sir Alex Ferguson. That's why. because he's probably one of the best coaches. And I say that if you support any soccer football team, I would say that you would respect him. But that's enough for that. I'm not gonna talk about that anymore because I will lose all my subscribers because of the shirt. It's hidden there. But let's continue with this, and then let's start with the feedback. And let's see. I have let me set up the screen. I guess I was messed up a bit with my screen here, but yeah, let's do this way. Now it's all set up. Sorry about this. This should have been done before. And this wouldn't be a live stream if I didn't have any problems. And unfortunately, I do not have the your stories about the images, and that's a pity because there was some problem with me getting them. It's first I didn't have enough time because I messed up my schedule a bit today, so I'm sorry about that. But the images that I have chosen them a couple of days ago and gone through them. But let's start with this first image from Fred Church. Maybe I will appear in the lower corner so I'm not in the way. This is a very good image and shows how the wide-angle shots should be made in a situation like this. You have the biker in the front with the really nice red jacket with some stripes, and then you have other people in the back to show that it could have been a parade or some happening because of the old bikes and pretty interesting looking bikes. I don't know if I could ride one of those. They look kind of hard, but that's the way the bikes used to be, and I really like the expression of the guy and the hand and the hat. That's really a cool image, and also the light is really nice because you can see that there is some shape on the face because there's the side lighting, as you can see. I don't know if you can see my yeah, you can. Whoops, sorry, wrong. Yeah, as you can see, the light comes from this way, which is really good. So there is some shape on the fellow's face. But these kind of images are really typical of wide angle and also being close enough so that this fellow here in the front fills the image. And then you have, the background, you have the other bikers or bicyclists. Or do you call them bikers? I don't know. Anyways, and then you have some buildings to give the kind of like the surroundings. And I really like this image a lot. And it was taken with the 17mm f1.8 lens. Yeah, well done, Fred. I really, you've had some interesting images on my Facebook group too lately, which I've really appreciated. Very, very nice looking images. But let's continue with the next one. This one is from Joshua Chow, and really interesting perspective, and really like the way that you have looked up. And that's something that we should do when we make images, because we tend to look this, straight out. Then look down, look up to the sides, you can see some interesting things, and the composition here is really nice, symmetrical, and then you have the Christmas tree kind of like breaking the symmetry. And I really like this image. It shows really interesting looking buildings, and then the shape is really nice, and it's kind of like an abstract almost. Very, very well done. Very well done on this particular image. And I think to get one of these images, you have to be curious. You have to look around, and as I already said, look sometimes up. You might find something interesting to see there. Let's see if there are any comments about. Let's see if there are not really any comments about the images. I'm sorry that it's really hard to the comments. It's really hard for me to follow them at the same time when I'm talking about the image, because these images, they always take my full attention. And very simple, nice image of flowers, and taken with the 9 to 18 millimeter f4.8 to 5.6 lens, which is not one of the newest lenses, but as you can see, very nice image what you can do with that. It's a beautiful image, and only thing that I would probably do in post is to darken the background a bit from up here. Oops, the wrong mouse. Up here, you know, make a bit darker from the top, and that would probably make it a bit better to have the attention to the flowers in the front, because that's good. Where you have the flowers in the front, then you have some more flowers there, and then you have the background, and then you have even further, you have the tree cross there, which is kind of like a one layer, and then you have the sky and the trees way back there. But darkening a bit would give the flowers more attention. Otherwise, very well done. You've gone down, that what it looks like, that you've gone down and photograph that, and the angle is also good because it goes a bit up, so that you get more depth to the scene, and it gives more information when you have some part of the sky there. But as I said, to lower the exposure a bit from the top. Otherwise, very, very well done. And then this one is an interesting image. It's I bet it's from Washington, D.C., and I think that I saw some of the explanations. But one thing that really makes the image is the runner. I don't know if that runner was there in the beginning, or is it edited there? But anyways, it doesn't matter. But this is a good example how important some small details in an image are. Like without the runner there, I don't think this image would be that interesting. But that small thing makes the image really, really interesting. Let's see if we have. I have to check that. Yes, we do have the stream going. Yeah, I'm just checking from the side. Yeah, and I really like the blue sky, and then the I think, is this the Washington Monument? I don't know. Looks like it. I think it is. Yeah, you got the American flag there. And it was taken with 8 millimeters. Like you can really see the perspective, how it narrows when it goes up. And usually if you're making architectural images, is so that you want to have the lines that are going up are straight. I don't know if you guys watched the Matti Sulanto's video about a shift lens that he made. So if you are doing architectural photography, you should watch his video about the Laowa 15mm shift lens. It's an interesting video, and there is a lot of information about how to straighten up the buildings. But on this particular image, I think it's a good thing that it kind of goes way up and narrows. It makes it kind of taller and bigger, and that's why I really like it. And then having the runner there makes gives some scale to the side. Of course, you could kind of realize from the flags also about the scales. But like Charles King here says that great for the scale for this. Yeah, exactly. Very, very, very important point. But yeah, it was really, really an interesting image. And then another very interesting looking image. I really like the sky on this, and then the turn. What it is that the clouds, or is it a rock or bed rib? I'm not really sure what it is, but it doesn't really matter because it's a really interesting scene, and probably there was the explanation, and I'm sorry that I don't have them right now here. And this is a good example of what a wide angle lens can do and make the scene look really interesting. And you can see the vast, of course, there is no scale on this, so we have no idea how high and how big these mountains are. That's probably the only thing that it might be something that if there was a scale, so we could kind of see the size of everything, but we can imagine that you're very high up when you have made this image. But really a great one. Probably something, if I would make this a bit better, is to lower the exposure on the lower part on the image here. Whoops, I always grab on the wrong mouse. Over here, make this a bit darker, and that could probably be. But you know, this what do you call the layers are really present there, and I'm always talking about the layers because those layers make the depth to the image, and so that you have something in the front, you have in the middle, and then you have the background, and then you might even have a kind of like a second background if it's a really vast landscape. And let's take the next one. And this is a good example of a use of live comp and star trails. And what is really good about this image is that you can see the colors of the stars. Believe it or not, but those colors, they do have colors. And usually when you see images like this, they are overexposed in that sense that all the star trails are white. The image might look really good. I'm not saying that. But sometimes if you're doing this, try to get the exposure show so that you have the colors. Because as you can see, there are tons of different colors. You got blue, you got yellow, you get orange, you get all possible colors. The one thing that this image needs is lowering the exposure from the bottom. It's a bit too overexposed here in the bottom. Could probably lower it a bit and then try to see if it's possible to get rid of a bit ugly yellow sky, which is a problem when you're in a urban environment. You've got the light pollution there, there's nothing much you can do about it unless you start working on the image. But otherwise, the composition is really great. And to get this kind of circle is that you need to have the North Star, or is it the South Star? I don't know is it the South Star or I think it is. But anyways, need to have the North Star or the South Star in the image to get this. If you photograph it the other ways, it might not look that nice. But on this one, it is very well done. And I really like the composition that you have here in the North Star. Then you have this, and then you have the lights over here. But one thing that I've always a bit worried when people go out and shoot on the train tracks, be very careful, and you have to be 110% sure that there won't be any trains, because this looks a bit dangerous place. There might be some crossing and no trains, but it's still always, kind of like makes me a bit scared when I see people take images on railroad tracks. But always be careful, even though they are very good and interesting subject for a photograph and a very photogenic places, but be careful so nothing happens. And this one was taken with the 7 to 14 millimeter lens and used a 10 millimeter focal length on this. But yes, I really like this image. And then there is no information about the lens, but you can see from this image that it is made with a wide angle lens, or then it's heavily cropped from an image. But you can really clearly see that there are some distortions, but nothing that bad that it is that would be too much distortion. I think it's a perfect example of a good wide angle shot. And here is also, you go really close, you fill like 1/3, almost 2/3, or about the whole area of the image, and then you still have kind of like the surroundings. You have the environment there. You have the house on the back, and then you have some other old farm equipment or machine on the side, which I was thinking might be a bit a distracting element, and I can understand it's not something that you could move, but something that should be considered when making an image like this. And these kind of places, I just would love to go and photograph that car. It looks so cool. And always images like this, you start wondering that actually somebody has driven that car and parked it there and left it there, most likely. Or then it could be just lifted out from the garage and just left it there. But I always like to think that somebody actually has driven the car and parked it, and just why it's left there. Those are really interesting. And if possible, on an image like this, if you have any possibility to add some light here, if a small flashlight or small torch, just to paint some light over there, this be totally interesting way also to do, just slightly make some then make maybe if you don't have a light, then just do a multiple exposure, take 2 different exposures and blend them together and have some information here. It is on the screen, yeah, it is a bit darker than it is on my screen, but actually it looks better on the stream. It's more punchy colors, but it's always a bit confusing when the images look a bit different than they actually are. But yes, I like this image. It's a good example of a great wide angle shot, and also the subject matter. I like this. These are really, really interesting. Yeah, and like Rob Shoot Photos says that I really like this shot a lot with the wide ratio. Yeah, that's true. That's something that I didn't mention. Yeah, I tend to like also this kind of more cinematic kind of ratio, and that also makes it really interesting. And sometimes I've thought that does the wide kind of like a composition or the wide ratio add a story to it, so it reminds you more of a movie when it's kind of like this. I don't know if that's what happens, but could be something that adds to the story when you kind of like see it. It could be like a movie still, this image. But yes, very well done. I really like this. And then it's Jari, and by the name, I think he is from Finland. And this is a very long exposure, 30-second exposure, and it was a 24mm lens. And on this occasion, this is most likely a full-frame camera, an RF lens, 24 to 105mm f4. It looks like a Canon lens. And this one is a typical good example of moving water. And I really like that the water is right there in the middle. It's something so it gives the feeling that the photographer is kind of like standing in the water, which is always an interesting thing. And you have this leading lines that goes into the woods, and then you start thinking that where does it go, what's in there, and it looks very typical a Finnish forest. This might be in the summer even, I'm not sure. And the rocks in the front, and very important to have this rock here. Without this, it would be quite empty in the front. So always when you go into a place like this where there's water, try to find something to kind of like have an interest in the front of the image, like this one has. I think it's really an interesting thing that like the one runner in the Washington Monument. This rock is the important thing, even though it's not a photograph of that rock, but it's still very important. And having the water look like this, you need a very long shutter speeds. And this is something that you should really try and vary. And how does the water look when it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, and 30? Usually 30 is quite long, but on this one, I think it's just perfect. There is still some details. It's not totally kind of like buttery. There are some details you can see some rocks here in the inside the water or under the water in the bottom of the whatever that is, the rapid or wherever. It's a small rapid, I think what's that called. And it's really really interesting. And I like the composition too. It's kind of symmetrical, and then you have this one tree that is a bit more tilted than the others that kind of like break the perfect symmetry, which is always good. And nice colors too, the blue water and then the green pine trees, I think those are. And it's just a very pleasing and kind of calm image. I think it's a good image. Very well done, Jari. And then we have this interesting image of a boat on a beach. And this one is taken with, well, it doesn't say 0 millimeters. I don't think it is. It's something else. This looks like the 7 to 14 millimeter, but I don't know. It could be any lens. This one is a good subject. There's only small thing that I would change. I would crop it a bit differently so that this boat would be a bit closer. So to have it like this, let me make an exception on this one, and let's see how it would. Oops, let's lock it, and let's see how this would look, and if we could do it like this. Of course, it's a totally different image now, and it's not a wide angle in that sense, but on this kind of what do you call place to make this image, I think it would have been better. This shadow in the front, this is very important because it's really huge and long shadow, and it tells us that the sun is really low. And then the colors, the blue boat, the yellow sign on the boat, it's really good color contrast. And then let's do one more thing that I just realized, that now the horizon is a bit crooked. Let's do this and see how it looks now. Now it's a bit better. But like this, I think this could have been a bit better. And you can still crop it like this and present the image like this. But of course, the wide angle feeling doesn't show that much on this. But otherwise, it is a very good image. And maybe some vignetting and darkening a bit here and there, but otherwise really nice. And the colors, you have the warm colors of the sand, you have the yellow sign on and blue boat, and then the blue shadow, and then you have the blue sky on the back and the sea. This is really an interesting looking image. And I hope you don't mind, Andrew, that I crop the image, because I always try to avoid, because the image that you showed is your view of the thing. I just wanted to show that might be another way of making the composition. Now let's see if there's let's see what others say about the cropping. Yeah, that's true. Let's go back to the original image, because there was let's see if we can shot. All right, let's make it like it was. That probably would have been like Control Z, would have been a bit faster. Yeah, somebody was saying about the Rob Shoot Photos was saying that I like how you cropped it because you look at the shadow more than the person standing on off the left. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Then when you lose the person, you will have more attention to the shadow. Because that is actually quite interesting, the shadow. But let's go to the next one. And this Petros Goulas, I think he has sent some images before. Let's take that away from there. And if we look at this is also a good example of well-made landscape with let's look at it like this. Because you have the very interesting rock that most likely has been there for quite some time, and also has carved the hole in there, and so that the water has rotated the rock, and it has carved its way inside. That's what it looks like. And then you have really nice colors, really nice colors. The subtle red and subtle blue, and then you have the horizon there, and you have layers. You got the rock in the front, you got the water, you got the mountain, then you have the background. And this is really, and then you also have kind of like a pathway. If you look at the image, you have a pathway from the lower left corner to the rock in the hole, and then you have the rock continuing, or the ground continuing. You go to the water, and then you see the mountain, and then you see the kind of like way back. I don't know where you would see if you would go straight out to the sea. Where would you end up? It's really interesting shot. Maybe the way that you edited the photo is the way that you wanted to do it, but I would add a bit more contrast to it. Let's see how it looks over there. Yeah, a bit more contrast to it. It would punch up the colors a bit. But of course, this is not a wrong way to do it. I just personally prefer images that have a bit more contrast and punch to it. But this is also very good because it has some subtle colors, and it's kind of beautiful way of editing. So I'm not saying that the way you did it was needed anything, but it's more of a matter of taste. But still, this is really a pleasant looking image, and I like it a lot. And let's go to the next one and see what it is. All right, this is Raymond, and the reason I picked this, I really like the composition of this image. It's not the obvious. And that's why it's really interesting, because it has, first, when you look at the image, when it was small in my screen, I was like, it didn't really look that interesting. But when you see it as bigger, then you start seeing all the layers. And the funny thing is that the reflection makes it kind of more interesting, because there are more layers, but still it's not too busy. Maybe there is a bit too much on the left corner where you have the snow on this side. Whoops, wrong one again. On this side here, maybe, but that would have been a bit hard to do, because this one between the mountains is really on a good position. It's almost like the golden ratio, and then you have the horizon up here, and you also can see the bottom of the lake. I presume this is a lake. And this one too, a bit more contrast maybe to punch up it a bit, and then see if there is some detail in the sky to lower the highlights a bit. But otherwise, I really like the composition, because it's not the obvious. I don't think many of us would have included this in the front. I think it's really, really interesting. And maybe here could lighten up this slightly so that you could see the buildings. Now it's a bit busy on this side. It's maybe a bit too much like this, but brightening it up so that you could see the buildings and the background a bit more. There might be more distinction if you would add some contrast here, but not sure if that works. But there's always experimenting when you're looking at image, and don't rush into the editing or rush into the image. Just look at it and try to feel the image, and then you could start thinking that what would be better. But it takes some time to learn. Let's see, for example, on this small thing here. It's not a big thing, but it's a bit of an annoying thing. It makes it a bit unbalanced. It's cropping a bit or cloning it away or seeing it when you're photographing. It's not a big thing, but the small things make the image. But yes, but I really do like this image, and that's why it's here. Well done, Raymond. And then an image from Henna, and this is unfortunately the way the weather looks here in Finland when it's not really cold, when the winter is not at its best. This is the way it looks. I don't know. Unfortunately, as I said, I don't have your explanations of or comments about these images, so but it doesn't matter. But the composition of this one is really good. I like the symmetrical approach, so that you have the rails and you have the dock. It's not a dock, probably what a small small dock. But anyways, it's kind of, I think you can go swim there. I think that's what it's more about. And to having this in the middle like this, it's really nice, and also the fog and the weather. I think this is perfect, kind of like an image of the weather we have here in Finland, and it is a color image. Let me check. So yes, it is a color image, as you can see, and there isn't much of a difference when you switch it to black and white. You can see some difference on the dock. There's whoops. Wait a minute. Now monochrome color. There's slight difference here, as you saw, but that's the way it is, and I really like this image, and yeah, it is an interesting looking image. It's a bit depressing, but that's the way the weather looks here. But the composition is one of the strong points when you have these rails, and you kind of, it sucks you into the image, and then you see like the weather, what's going on, and yeah, works for me at least. I don't know, what do you think? Is this too simple for you guys? But I tend to like this. And then we have this interesting image from Ruth, which is what I believe is a cruise ship. And first, when you look at this image, you would kind of like think that it's taken from up to down. But then you all of a sudden realize that there are some windmills that are the way they should be. And only small thing is that this, I think, are lamps or some things hanging from here. That is something that I would wish that it wasn't there, but that's something that you cannot do when you're imaging. But this is a really nice abstract image with some shapes, and you can see the shapes here. And then this is probably some kind of a radar thing, and then you have the horizon there. There's some slightly bending. But when we look at the image, I think it's kind of nice when it goes like this. It could be that it is the lens that has some distortion, or then it is just so wide that you can actually see that the Earth is round. You can kind of see it from there, and the perfect composition that this is in the middle. Let me put that. Let's look at this. This is straight in the middle, and then you have the leading lines towards that. And I think it's an interesting image. Not the obvious one, but that always makes an image really interesting. That it is not the obvious. And to get something like this, you need to see and look a bit different. But I like this image. Thanks for sending it. It's an interesting image. And then another one where you're looking up. We had the one with the buildings and the Christmas tree in the beginning, and now we have an image that is most likely, and yes, it is used with a infrared filter, or then it might be an infrared camera. But I don't know if any of you have tried. Yeah, let me check up a couple comments. Yeah. And this one is looked up and had some infrared things and makes it very surreal, because infrared images are really, really surreal. And it's kind of or the way it works, you have a filter in front of your lens which will block everything else except infrared light, and then you get this. And especially if you have this foliage, which is green, it usually makes it white, and it looks like there is snow on the trees, but this is not snow, I think. Or maybe I'm totally mistaken. But anyways, it looks like an infrared image anyways. And Loth Wader is asking if infrared filters easy to find. Yeah, I think you can find them from Amazon. I do have one that is hidden, and actually I do have a video about infrared photography, which I made a long time ago when I started out making these videos. And then there's another way of doing is to have your camera converted to a infrared camera. And the good thing about that is that you don't need any filters. But the downside is that it's only converted to one certain wavelength of infrared. If you use filters, then you have different options. But of course, having a dedicated infrared camera is really cool. I've sometimes planned that I should convert my old EM1 to be an infrared camera, but I haven't really found any place that makes it with a reasonable price. It's been really expensive, the places that I've found. But if you have any information, where did you get your EPL8 converted? That'll be really interesting to hear, Andy. If you want to share that, to be much appreciated. This is also interesting. I never realized that you can put hot mirror filter to convert back to normal camera. Actually, I never really thought about that. That's interesting. I need to look into this stuff a bit more. Mark Duke, yeah, he's here. And let's see what he was... Yeah, he said that it was taken in the summer. And yeah, Charles King is thinking of having his EM5 converted too. And that's really interesting. And if you have anything or find any place where you can do that, and then please let me know, because I am interested on this infrared thing. It's a one. Oh, there is some place. I bought camera fully converted from Kolari, about $500 for the camera. Not that bad, but of course it's a lot of money. But I bet it's. I have a friend whose last name is Kolari, but I don't think it's him. But let's continue, and we'll talk about the infrared some other time a bit more. And then there's Cam White, who took the image of the. Now I lost my words again. It's the night sky, but it's the. Oh, I forgot what that is. That's the Milky Way. Sorry, yeah, Milky Way. And these are really tough to make. Actually, you would see that you would think that it's easy, but it is quite tough to get a good image of the Milky Way, and usually it needs to be edited quite heavily. You need to kind of like make contrast and brush out, what we usually say when you're trying to see that. What I mean about by brushing it out is that you would take and then, okay, this is too much. Let's lower it a bit, and something like this, just to make it a bit color, and then maybe add some clarity to yeah, you can probably see that it's a bit. Let's see if we can. Yeah, you can see the difference. This is just a quick edit, and not very well done. But as you can see how much that would do, and then maybe do a little bit saturation. It will lift it up a bit more, so that it is more interesting. It actually looks pretty cool on the stream. And if you look at it, how it differs the amount. But yeah, very well done. And as you can see from the screen, this was taken with the kit lens, so you don't need fancy, really fast, really wide lenses. You can do it with a kit lens too. And I really appreciate that you sent this image, Cam, because it's a very good example of how you can really use, and the equipment does not hold you back. I really like this image because it was not taken with the, let's say, like a 1.8 millimeter what do you call, the fisheye, because this is a good example that you can do a lot with the kit lens. And I really congratulations, Cam. This is nice image. And let's go to Peter Edmondson portrait, and I wanna show this like this. And this is a stunning portrait. This is huge. This is it's I can't say how much I like this image. It's usually when using portraits with the wide angle, it's a really hard job to do. The good reason or why you would want to use a wide angle lens for portraits is to show the surroundings, but there is not much to show on the surroundings. It looks like a studio shot. You have a backdrop and a very nice floor, and then the way the guy sits there. Of course, the character is interesting. It's something that you would always, or is it easy? It is easier to take an image of a person looking like this, because there is lots and lots of character in just the way he looks, and the dress and the clothes and the tattoos on the hand and the beard and everything. This is stunning. I think this is totally stunning. But comes to the wide angle, you have, you have the stretched leg, and then you have the bottom of the boot, and you have the what do you call the structure or the markings or the pictures on the bottom of the boot, and then you have the markings on the boot, and then you have this nice suit, and you got the tattoo in the hand, and then it's a bit crooked. The horizon is crooked, but this is just it is a stunning portrait. This is really a great shot. I think all of you agree that it is. I'm not sure if Peter is here. I hope he listens to this, because it is a stunning portrait. And a good example of, again, how you can use wide angle lens for portraits without being in a stunning place where you want to see the surroundings, but do it like this. It's just stunning. And then another image that looks like an infrared photograph is this image of this car. And this is also one of my favorites on this, because for two reasons. Of course, the car is really nice. Cars are really photogenic, and especially cars like this. And then you have a really nice composition, and the road goes like this. It kind of starts from the car, and then you have the road, and then you have the background, the infrared looking background. The only small problem is the up here, because the tree and the clouds kind of mix up, and you don't have the separation. If here would have been a spot where there are no clouds, and probably that wasn't the case, that there wasn't a moment that would happen, but that would probably make the image even better. I think it's okay like this, but that's a small thing that you would make the image a bit better. But as you can see, an infrared thing is really interesting. There's nothing much except the top left corner that could be, or there could be more distinction between the tree and the background. Otherwise, it's I wouldn't change anything on this. And let's go to the next one. And this oak tree is also a really interesting and fascinating looking image, when you have the kind of like the layers on this. You have the tree where you see it goes there, and then it goes out, and you have the different colors, and you have the blue shadow. And the reason that the shadows are blue is because the only light that hits the shadow area is reflected from the blue sky. That's why shadows are blue. And usually blue shadows make images look a bit smushy or dirty in a way. It doesn't usually be very pleasant if you have blue shadows. But on this one, I think it gives the contrast to the blue. The yellow ground on the bottom here. I think there are some leaves here, which are from fall, and then you have some green here, and it almost looks like it's snow on this, which is also good because it's kind of like a frame around the tree. And then interesting thing, and I think what makes this image even better are these branches here that kind of blocks the eye to wander off, because this, of course, it's a nice looking sky, but it would kind of float away your kind of like your eye. These kind of bounce them back to the your. It's hard to explain, but when the eye goes into the image, then it sees that, then it starts seeing something, it bounces back from the branches in the front, and I think these are really important because of that. And then of course the color contrast, the blue sky is really nice looking sky and really colors. Okay, it's a bit soft. There is some image editing done to make it a bit softer, and that's a matter of taste. So I'm not going to comment on that much. I'm not really sure what the image would look if it wasn't that soft. It's not what do you call unsharp? That's not what it is. It's kind of like a soft filter on the top of the image. But that's really a matter of taste. So I'm not gonna comment on that much, because it's something that you should do. And here is another excellent example of use of wide angle. And what's really great about wide angle shots is that you have straight way, or you have a straight street here, but then when you look up, you have almost these of course when I'm showing like this you can't see, you have these Christmas lights top here. They almost like they were right there up without this being too much distorted, and that's why it's really an interesting shot and well done with the composition. And also the I like the stars. I don't know what, there doesn't say what the f-stop is here. It's 1.3 second exposure, but doesn't tell me the f-stop, but that doesn't matter. There is some closing down the aperture because you can see the stars, and that's also an interesting thing. But this is really when you're going inside the image, and then this is really something. And only thing that would have made this image a bit better is if the sky had some detail, so it was kind of like a blue sky. It's taken after the blue hour, which is not the best part, but of course we always have these restraints that we cannot be there at the perfect time, so that's probably something that was not possible. But if it would have, that would have made the image slightly better. But it's totally fine like this. No complaints about that. And then we have this old building that is condemned, occupancy prohibited. So it's an old abandoned building, which are always interesting subject for photographs. And on this one also, I like the way that you've looked up and made a bit different, because it looks almost like it's you could walk on that, and that's why it's kind of like a bit crooked in that way that you don't really know which way it is. Of course, we can understand that. See, that's the building that it's taken that way, but it's kind of leveled, and this is really in a way mind-boggling image that you could start walking on that, because this looks like a bridge a bit, and then there is the kind of like don't go there. But of course, you be a superhero to walk straight up the wall, but it looks interesting, and that's why. And also the black and white, and then you have these two white windows, and then you have the black hole to break the symmetry and to make it a bit a small distraction, which I think is interesting thing. But yeah, it's funny how when you really start looking at images and you really see, because to be honest, there aren't really that much really bad images if you want to really go into it. Of course, there are people when they're starting out and they might not make that good images, but still when they evolve, and then you have really interesting. So keep on shooting. And let's continue, and let's see. Oh, there is Rob Trek is in the house. Welcome, Rob. I'm glad that you're here. It's a pleasure and honored that you're listening, because you've been doing this for a long time, commenting on people's images. So it's really glad to have you. And then another typical Finnish scenery, even though I don't think this is from Finland. This is Dave Nelson made this image, and this one is also a very good example of a wide angle, even though this is slightly wide angle, 40 millimeters. Some would argue that it is not a wide angle because and then we have Jimmy is in the house too. Yeah, I was just telling our Clubhouse thing in the beginning of this. So welcome too, and it's nice to have you here. Let's see if I can oh, there it is. It's this StreamYard that I'm using. It's a bit what do you call, hard to lift up the comments, or it's actually easy to put them there, but then taking them off is not the best way to do it. But welcome, Jimmy. Pleasure to have you here. But let's talk about this image. You have the front here, or where is the sharpest thing, and then you have another tree, and then you have some buildings there, and the weather is really nice. Not but for an image, it is really nice. It looks like a snowstorm, a fog, but most likely it's a snowstorm. And even though there are not too many colors on this, you still have some layers. You have, as I said, you have this, and then you have the background, and then you have some trees behind there. And one tip, if you want to have some more there, then the way to do it is usually to use the dehaze. That would, I don't know if you can see that, that would make it a bit more, but I think I like it this way. But sometimes you might want to have something showing from the background a bit more. Then dehaze is pretty good for that. And also it can be done locally too. You just grab let's take that and add some dehaze. Let's overdo it a bit, and then let's make this a bit bigger. You might want to do this if you want to have some more, but not too much. But I think this is perfect like this. I'm not saying that you should do that, but just to give away if that is something that you would like to do is then. But of course, like this image, like this image too, if I press the black and white, this one is this the blue, a small tint of blue comes out, but otherwise you wouldn't really see any difference. And that's really something unique when you're making images in winter, in snow, that you don't have really that much colors. It's almost a monochromatic scene like it is. You don't need to convert it to a black and white. But this was barely made the cut because of or did not been thrown out because of the 40 millimeter. It is considered a wide angle, even though it's not very strong. And then we have this image that really made me smile. This is a very nice way of using 8 millimeter fisheye lens. This is hilarious. Really hilarious image. And you really need to be close to this cow and look at the size of the nose, or the face. It's really huge compared, even though it's a lot smaller than the head. This is just this is just interesting. And this, I like this one too. It's like, looks like he's a bit jealous that this guy gets photographed, or this cow, and just like looking like this, meh, but really wants to be photographed. And here you can see how much there is distortion on this, but it doesn't really matter because it's gonna makes it kind of vignetting in a way when you have these kind of like stripes, almost that like there was some motion blur on the sides of the image. But really great image that made me smile a lot when I was looking at this. These are always, these markings that they put on their ears is they're always, kind of a distractions in photographs. But getting rid of that one with editing is a bit hard, so that it would look natural. This one probably could have, but that's something that we just cannot do much about. You don't want to take it out because they're actually useful to have. I don't know, it's been an hour already, so let's see what we have. I think this comment from Helldiver83 is the one. Holy cow! Yeah, true. And yeah, like Nature with Music says that the 8mm fisheye is a super lens for close-up and different image. Love this lens. Yeah, I don't have it. I've sometimes borrowed it, but I don't have the lens, and that's something that I might, because this this image is so much fun, and I don't know if I could maybe I should try and make this next summer, borrow one of those fisheyes and try to make something similar. And then there's Peter Bacalor, who has sent this image, and it's taken with the 12 to 100mm f4 lens at 12mm and full open f4, and this one is interesting. I'll talk about the horizon first. First, when I looked at the image, I thought it's tilted the horizon, but it's not, because this one is almost straight, this fence here, and you have these ones, okay, we don't know if this is straight, but most likely the fence is quite straight. So the horizon is here and like this, and then you have the mountains, and that's why it's kind of a bit odd looking, because you think that it's all the way a bit crooked. But otherwise, this one is very well made composition, because you have the trees as a frame, and then you have it's kind of like what do you call directs your eyes to the middle, and then you have the calm river, and it turns right there, and then you will see the mountains, and then you will start looking at the details. Looks like there is there a road or a railroad track? Let's see. That's a railroad. Yeah, it is. It looks like it. And then you have a small village here, and really great looking small village. Maybe there is some, another village on the other side, and you have probably some boats here that take people across the river, and this is an interesting image, and there's a lot to look at. And even though it's kind of calm, there's a good way of lots of small things, but it's not still crowded. It's a calm and a nice image, and you can watch it in a very different ways. You can just watch it as a nice kind of like a landscape photograph as it is, and then you can find lots of details in the village she's on both, and you can see the tracks, and maybe there's something there too. And this is okay. This one is I don't know what it is. It looks like a wooden rail or something. It might be a bit of a distraction, but this is I don't know. Probably that would not have been possible to crop that out and to clone it out. It's almost impossible, so that it would look natural. It takes a lot of work, and it's not worth it. Maybe darkening the side here a bit to make that go away, because once you see it, you will see it, and it's a bit of a distraction, but nothing major on that one. But yes, I like this one. And this one is, I think they're talking about Elbe Valley south of Dresden. Yeah, that looks like could be from that, if that is the image. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point from Randy. That would have been neat to have a person at the viewing area. Yeah, that would have probably somebody standing here. That would have made some scale too. Of course, we can understand how the proportions and the scale and that were really high because of the fence. But yeah, true, that could have been someone there. But that's something probably that the photographer did not have anything to, you once you're there, if nobody is there, then nothing can be done about that. And let's go to the next one. And this I think this one is Rob Drake himself, if I understand correctly, and this one is taken with 8mm fisheye lens, and as you can see, it doesn't look really fisheye, the lens, and it's used f22, and the composition I really like because you have these long shadows, and all of a sudden there is one shorter, and it's like a rule of thirds, and I think it's really well made composition, and also like the star. Usually the star gets a bit smushy if there are some clouds in front of the sun in this case, or the hard light anyways. If you want to have the real perfect star, there shouldn't be any clouds in front of the sky. I'm not saying that this is the wrong way to do it, but just a general knowledge about how to make these. And to get the star, you usually need to stop down. Some lenses you do use f16, f22. Some lenses can render a really nice star at f8. It depends on the lens a bit, but it's something that makes an image really interesting. And as I said about the composition, I really like this one is a small not that long, the shadow, and you have the shadows going there, and then placing the sun right there is really good. And these kind of images, you need to, when you see something like this, then it's just a matter of time and where the light comes from, and then it's about experimenting and walking around and trying to find the perfect composition. And I think Rob has done really good job on this one. Maybe cropping, I don't know, if you want to have it symmetrically, maybe I would let's see if we could crop it a bit. Not this one. Let's see what it looks like. I don't know. Yeah, probably not, actually. I think the original one, now it's a bit unbalanced. I think the original one is better. Yeah, I think this one works better. There's more shadows on this side to take the eye to the image. So everything leads to this. You see the bright spot here, and then you have all the lines and the horizon, and everything goes that way. And also the clouds. Really, really like this image. And then we have this image, very minimalistic, moody, and again, really wide crop, which makes this image really interesting. And when I said in my video about wide angles that there should be something, let's show this, that there should be something in the front. This one has a bit darker water, but also you have something on the sides to lead our eye to the image. You kind of see this first, and then it starts wandering and it comes back, because these dark areas here kind of like bounces the back. And then I like this dark island, or I don't know if it's an island, but it looks like an island here. And this is this could be from a kind of like a mystery movie or something, a still from that, and something's about to happen. You're just waiting that there's something that's gonna kind of like break the totally still water, and this halos and stuff over here is really interesting looking. And this image also could be turned, let's see what it looks like if we can turn the image. Let's rotate it right. This was actually quite interesting looking image like this, very mysterious. What is this? Maybe like this, it should be a bit wider, but the idea of something like this, and let's see, let's turn it back like it is. We won't. But yeah, interesting looking image, and this is something that you could actually watch quite a long time. If you would, you could make it a bit more contrasty, but I think it would lose the mystery of the whole thing. And I think this one is really something else. And we've been here over an hour now, and we still have a few more images. But if you have any questions at this point, I could answer a few questions right now if you have any. Let me just check a bit if there is about. Let me just check a few of the comments if there are any questions that I probably missed everything. Yeah, let's see. And how about flip the reflection on the top? Oh yeah, you should, so that we could flip it like that. Not sure how it will look. Let's see. I wonder. Let's see if we could. No, sorry. Always flip vertical like this. Did you mean like this? This could also be quite interesting. I don't know. This is the dark sky. Yeah, this actually, that's a good. Well, sorry about that. I'm talking about the image and doesn't show. Is this, Dave Nelson, what you meant, that this could work? Just let me know. And there are some few questions that I want to answer. And then this one is John Pika is asking, can shooting towards the sun damage the camera? Not really, if there is no some planets blocking the sun. I'm sorry, I don't know the words, but it shouldn't break your camera if you're shooting towards the sun. It's of course, there might be sometimes some rare cases that on certain angle there might be some kind of a problems, but I wouldn't leave the camera for hours towards the sun, fully open. But I wouldn't. I've never had any problems, so it's not a big problem. And then there is about the question that I probably, but I did guess that somebody's going to ask that. Any more news on availability of 150 to 400 millimeter lens? All seems to have gone quiet now. Yeah, I need to say something about that lens. The demand was 3 to 4 times more than Olympus expected, and that has caused the delay. And unfortunately, what I heard is that if you order it today, it will take you to get the lens about a year right now, which some Olympus representative said in an interview, and that's pretty bad news. The good thing is that it is, if we talk about Olympus, the good thing about from their side is that the lens is selling very well, but the production kind of is lacking, which is a pity. And there is some still, because the company is quite new and they're still trying to put everything together. It's not a easy task to merge everything to a new company from old, because they had all these areas. You had the US, you had the UK, you had the Europe or the EU. I mean, you had Nordics, then you have all different parts of Southern Europe, then you have all different parts in Asia, China, Hong Kong, Japan. You have all these local Australia, New Zealand. You have all these local organizations that needs to be merged in a way that everything works a bit smoother. So that's the biggest problem. But I think it is a pity that people don't get the lens, because it is quite a stunning lens. Yeah, it's like Randy said that I read that Olympus was totally unprepared for sales of the lens, something like 3 times what they expected. And that is a pity. Yeah, I can confirm. I've heard that too. Yeah, that's a good point from Sam Thompson, that don't shoot pointing into a laser, you will damage the sensor. That has happened to me once. That's many years ago. There was a big conference called Slush here in Helsinki, and it was I was photographing it, and they had these huge, all these fancy flash laser shows over there, and I was shooting that, and there was a damage on when the laser went like this, there was a damage on my sensor, but luckily it was a warranty was still on my camera. It wasn't an Olympus camera many years ago, and it was a Canon, I think a 5D Mark III, what it was, or Mark II, I don't remember anymore, but they replaced the sensor. But yeah, lasers can damage. Let's continue with the images. And here we have from Perm Gataura, a black and white image. I think this one really is a black and white image, and very nicely done black and white image. And I really like the composition here. You have it looks like a housing boat, and then you have what looks like to be a nuclear power plant in the background. It's a kind of what would I say, a bit scary image too, even though this is probably a quite safe place anyways, even though you have the nuclear, what it looks like to be a nuclear power plant. I'm not really sure what it is. And the composition is really nice. You have this right there on the edge, almost on too much on the edge. Could have been a bit more in the center, but still I think that makes a bit more tension to the image when you have it. Oops, excuse me. When you have it a bit too much to the edge, it's one of those what do you call one of those distractions that makes an image interesting. That it starts to bug you, but that what keeps your attention on the image, and you don't want to kind of lose your vision. And this one here, when you have them overlapping, and this small part here is really important. I really like that it's not so that there is a small separation between these two towers, or whatever those are called, and then the others are kind of like separate, and then you have two there on a very good spot. This is I like the composition of this one. Let's go back to the library here. And this one was taken with a Lumix 12 to 60 millimeter lens. And another fisheye lens. And this one too, I like a lot. And this is also a good example of a image of a person in a fisheye camera. You wouldn't kind of like choose a fisheye lens to photograph someone. Of course, this is probably a bypasser driving, cycling and going home, maybe, I don't know. But on this, you have the leading lines towards the star on the end, and this one taken with f10, which seems to make a star with the fisheye, which is kind of good. I really like it. It's kind of not too narrow. It's kind of actually quite wide, these, and it bleeds over and looks really good, and makes it more interesting to have these flares there, and you have some reflections over here too, which looks really nice. And then this is of course something that the photographer does not have in its control what colored cyclist is coming there. But this is also about choosing the right image. There might have been several images of the same spot with different looking cyclists, but I think that the yellow is really good. It's a good contrast with the blue sky, and I'm checking how it looks in the stream, and yeah, it looks even better because it's more punchy and more colorful and more contrast in the stream. It looks really, really cool. And this actually, when I was watching these images, it made me really want to have the 8mm, because it's always kind of thought that it is a more of a special lens, that I don't really need it. But now when I look at these images, that makes me wonder that what interesting I could do with that lens, something that's not so obvious with it. Maybe I'll borrow one for this to start to use it and see what I can do with it. And then we have this landscape from Stephen Singer. It's from Scotland, which is one of the most interesting places for landscape photography where I've been. I really like the landscape there. And this is also a very good use of wide angle. This is 9mm focal length with the Olympus M.Zuiko 9 to 18mm 4.0 to 5.6 lens, and 1.5 second shutter speed with f10 with ISO 64. And this low ISO is something that really is good sometimes to use. It is a bit more contrasty, and the dynamic range isn't as good as it is with 200, but still it is sometimes worth to use if you want to have a longer shutter speed, because it's almost two stops slower than 200, and you can get 2 stops more time or shorter shutter speeds to get the water the way you want it. So play around with the ISO too, with the extended ISO if your camera has it. This is a bit, if you see here, is a bit not underexposed, but I would add a bit brightness to the image. It's a bit too dark now and too much. There it is. And then maybe open up the shadows a bit and try to do the okay, this doesn't look that good. It's maybe it's better to just leave it as it is. Let's turn this off and go. It looks actually better on the screen on the stream than it does on my screen. So that's why it's actually quite good on the stream and the way I like it. Unfortunately, this might not be the way Steven wanted this. But let's go back to the use of wide angle. As you can see here, going as low as possible to have this in the front. And then this is also a very good way of framing, because you have the rocks here, you got some rocks here and some trees, and then you have the small waterfall here, and the shutter speed I think is quite nice on this. You have some texture on the water, but you still have kind of like the motion shows in the water, which is good. And then you start walking around, or your eyes, not walking, your eyes starts wandering around the image. It goes here and it finds this. And I like the cloud here. This is something probably, again, a thing that you cannot control that much. Well, probably cannot control the clouds, that's for sure. But to have the shutters or the what do you call it, to making the image at the right time. And I really like this because it's kind of strange and how low the clouds are. And it also tells that this might be in a quite high place too. And then this lonely tree here is this could be actually a very interesting image by itself to go somewhere on this side and photograph this way. Photograph this way and see what that tree would look like. It would make a pretty nice image, because the sky is quite dramatic to add some contrast to it, and then have it a bit more dark and more gloomy looking sky. That would probably be. But yeah, and then when your eye starts wandering this way, there's also another path. It could go this way, which is also a very interesting. There are some more waterfalls here. Then you go to the tree, and then you come back to the what I think is in the center in a way. Yeah, maybe a slight crop from this to get rid of this would have made it better. Not sure. Let's just check quickly if there is a big difference on that. If we just let's lock the and just not sure if that. Yeah, maybe not sure. Could be a bit better this way, or is it? It's just a matter of of taste. Well, it's not a big thing, but I would probably crop it a bit more tightly on that. Yeah, well, let's go to the next one. Let's see if there are some comments about. Let's see about the next one. No, not really any comments about. And then another interesting looking landscape, which I like a lot. And this is taken with a 8 to 15 millimeter f4L fisheye USM lens. So I would say that it's a Canon lens. It's a fisheye zoom lens, which is an interesting lens. Let's look at this like this. And as you can see here, the horizon is a bit or is it? Not sure if it is level, but it doesn't matter if it's not. That's an easy job to level it. And it's always with the very wide lenses that to have the horizon, because it's always a bit curvy, so that might be it. But really great rock and big rock here in the front. Can you see? Yeah, you can. Yes. And then another one here, and then you have the desert, and then this one is in a perfect position. Where if you look at the light here, look at the light. This is a beautiful light in the back, and then very dramatic sky, and the color contrast you have. Even though it's a really colorful image, there's not too much color, but just right amount. You have this warm-looking rocks and desert here, and then you have the blue, almost kind of like a purple sky. Then you have the red sky here, and then you have some other purple shades here, and lots of colors, but not too much that would distract the image. And then really interesting composition when you have that. All the way up, the rock goes all the way up to the almost to the edge of the image. Let's look at it this way when we can see it, and that's really interesting looking way of doing. And I think it's an important thing to leave some room here so it won't be too closed, the image. I think this way it's a bit better to do this way. But these are small little things that makes the image from good to really good, and then some more things to make it really great. And that's always the thing. It's the small things, small little things that makes the the image better. And another image from the desert, and like this one is also a good example of having something in the front, and this time it's the shadows. We have had some other images also, so I don't think I did say that on my wide angle video about or the video about wide angle, because I don't really use the shadows that much in the front. Sometimes, of course, I do, but not that much. But now that I seen your images, there have been quite a lot, and without the shadows here, this would be kind of empty but of course it's a desert, it is empty, so that could also work like that. That's something that I said in my video, is that if you want to tell how empty and and there's nothing, and you know, then having empty in the front could be a good thing. But usually it's better to have something there. And I think these bushes made these shadows that shows, yeah, and it's more contrasty on your screens, most likely. And then the composition on this one is important to have these in an interesting place where you have the one that it's a bit higher is on 1/3 or golden ratio usually works. And then you have the horizon also a bit further up, because I think this is more interesting than this. I don't think there is that much interesting in the sky. The sky looks a bit boring, so it's a good thing that you have only 1/3 on the top of the sky, because it's not the main thing on the image. But this one is interesting, and there's a lot of shapes and what do you call light and shadow on this to make the shape to see what the desert looks like. This one is a bit distracting and could be, I don't know if it could be cropped out. I don't know what it would look like if we crop it out like this, and then maybe we should, if we want that to be there, that might not be a good idea. Yeah, it depends. Yeah, not this. I don't like now. I don't like this that much, but I think this. It's always a compromise. Maybe this way we could do it. Maybe this. Yeah, maybe it is a bit better. We lost some sky here also, or the clouds, which I don't really like that much, but not. Yeah, it's just a slight crop could work better. Not 100% sure, but it could make the image a bit better. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah, let's see if there are any. Yeah, I'm not really sure when you have two these images, which ones you are talking about, because I'm sorry that I cannot not really follow which image you're really talking about. But let's see if we have some more for images. And then we have this image by Wilford of a old graveyard, which I think is a stunning looking image. It's very gloomy and a bit like a horror movie thing. You wait that somebody is walking behind there, or is someone coming out of the graves maybe. But this one also I like, and I like the what do you call the colors, which are kind of like desaturated, and looks almost a bit surreal, the front, and then you have these really nice looking trees on the background with some gray, mist and fog and in front of them that makes it really mystical. And this is really a really good image, and also the horizon, that it's of course it's straight, but you have the slope going down, and then all these tombstones, and I like especially this one, that it's an old cemetery and it's not straight anymore, and then you have this one this way, and then you get one over there, and then this one in the back is straight. And then what's really important about the composition is that you have these three here. Two would be good, but of course that one is there. You have these three in the front to make the eye to wander forward with you come in here, and then you start wandering around here, and then you see the beautiful background. And this is just one of those great images, I think, that was sent to me for this one, and I'm really glad that this image was sent for the review. I always like to look at great images. Of course, I will also want to tell you how to make the images better, but sometimes they just nailed it. So there's nothing much that I would improve on this one. And then we have this image from Ken Rene, and another good example of wide angle shot when you have a huge figure or subject here, and then you have this other parts and of the image that what he and actually what he is kind of like carving the letters to the wall or to the stone. And then what's great about this is the angle, that it's a bit upwards, but it's still not that much that it would distort the whole thing. And the one thing that I a bit would do differently is there's a bit of a halo here. So there has been, I think, most likely these shadows been lifted a bit too much. But it's an interesting looking image anyways. And on this one, I like it. It makes this really the shape and the body and the muscles and the bones and the veins can be seen here. It's really a great light on this in that sense. But this halo, if this could be done without a bit less halo, then this would be a bit better. And then also the composition, that it kind of goes like this. And I always like when you kind of like get sucked into the image like this one is. You have this guy here, and then you kind of have the diagonal sign or the carvings on the wall that takes you inside the image. And I think this is a great example of that. And then there was one question about this channel. Someone, let's see. And Nicholas Krill was asking, what camera lenses do people use for this? I have a Canon Rebel T6. Is this channel for this type of camera? This channel is about any camera. It's not, of course, I am an Olympus ambassador or going to sign the contract when they get it ready. But for these type of photo feedback doesn't really matter. Of course, my tutorials and those are mainly about Olympus cameras, but these are for anybody. So just if you're interested in, just subscribe to my channel and follow my videos and find out when the next one is. And let's see if what we have. That was actually the last image that I had for today, and we still have a bit more time. So if you have, before I tell you the next topic, which will be announced on this video, I will make a separate video about that topic later in beginning of March. But I wanted you to know already, so you can kind of start thinking about the subject that I'm gonna tell you. It's going to be interesting, but not the easiest one. Let's see. Let's see what we have. Let's see about Mandy's on board. Hi from Germany. I love your videos. Thank you. I'm struggling about getting my first zoom objective after the kit lens that comes with my OMD EM10. Which one is actually go-to all-around objective? I would probably say that if you have the kit lens, the most important thing most likely is the fastest aperture. So if you want a really good go-to lens, and I would probably go with the 12 to 40 millimeter f2.8. That's probably the best alternative. But then you also want to consider to having a prime lens, which means that you cannot zoom. So when you look at it, it's the area that you see will remain. If you want to have a different crop, you need to walk. So you need to have kind of like your feet are your zoom. And the good thing about those prime lenses are that those are faster lenses, and you can use them in darker conditions to get shorter shutter speeds. And if these terms are not familiar to you, then I suggest that you research YouTube and make some searches and look at some videos about basics about photography. But I would go for 12 to 40 f2.8 if a zoom is that what you want. But then on the other hand, with the kit lens, you can do some really good imaging. Like I don't know how long you've been following this, but as you saw, there were some images taken with the kit lens, which were stunning. So it's not about the lens; it's also about getting to be better in photography. Let's see. So people are talking about the let's go back and see. People are talking about the graveyard image. Let's put it back on. And they were talking about that it would be better black and white. Let's see how that would go. Let's turn it black and white. And then I would add some contrast to that black and white image. And I would probably add some contrast only to the lower part. And let's see if that is better. I don't know. I kind of like the color version of this image anyways. I don't know. I did. Now it's a bit too much, but I kind of like the color image on this. And let's take these away, what I did. I kind of like the color here in the front. Maybe could lower the saturation a bit from that. Let's okay, now yeah, it was, sorry, I had maybe something like this. I don't know. This is always hard, you know, the matter of taste, if it is better or not. Let's see if we can turn it off. And now this is the original image with no any editing, and this one is one where I maybe do I have that on there? Yeah, where I lowered the saturation a bit. As you can see, there is a small difference. But yeah, these are kind of like a bit personal not ideas, but personal opinions also. What is the way that you want to edit your images? And that's why I always say that spend some time. If you see some of your images, let's say that you come home and upload your images to your computer and you start going through them. And what's a good way is to first go through them and pick the best ones, and then maybe edit a few if you have time, you know, edit them a bit and see how they look, and then leave them if you don't need them. If it's nothing that you need to send straight away somewhere, just leave them and can, you know, go out and shoot some more, and then come back to the images like a couple of days later and start looking them again, and really spend some time and look at the image, not just, you know, really fast going to the next one, but just, you know, look at the images and really think, what is there a thing why you like the image, or is there something that you don't like? Try to different crops, because I don't, or cropping the image again, because I'm not the one that would say that you need to crop your image when you're out there. Of course, if you can do that and you don't need to crop it at all afterwards, it's fine. But I don't see that cropping images afterwards is something bad. I think we should do everything to our images what we like and what we think that is making the image better. That's what I think. And I know that there are these purists that want to have it like it is, and that's totally fine. We think differently than the images, and it's nothing wrong. If you're happy with the image that you took and you don't need to do anything, that's totally fine. No problem with that. But spend some time with the images and don't rush, because that's something that we do too much. That's one thing that we do when we go out and shoot. We rush into the things too much. We take too many images too fast. We don't think that much, and that's why sometimes I tell people to focus manually. Then it will slow you down, because you can't. At least if you're not very used to focusing manually, it will slow you or make you think more. of your composition when you have to focus manually, and that's a good thing in most cases. And same goes with the images that you have. Try to look at them and try to be not harsh on yourself, but admit to yourself that, okay, this one is not that good, and then move to the next one. And sometimes, of course, it depends on the image that you might need to send not the best one out, but that's a different thing. But usually spend some time with the image and try different things and learn about images and learn about how people see images. Like on these, there were very good examples in this about the images, is that have something in the front, have something for the eye to rest, and then and have some pathways for the eye to walk around the image, or not walk, but wander around the image to make it more interesting. And I think that's something that we should all do. Is that's always for every photographer is the thinking process is the most important thing while shooting and while editing the images. I hope this kind of makes any sense to you. Let's see if there are any questions. Not really. Yeah, and there any? Let's see, not really any questions, but then let's talk about the topic in March. It's going to be minimalism. I want you to make image that is minimalistic and is not too crowded. It's calm and it's interesting. And I will make a video in the beginning of March what I think that a minimalistic photograph should be. But that doesn't mean that you agree with me. But I will have about in a month's time this live stream again about minimalism. But as I said, I will have all the instructions and the time when to send the images in a video in the beginning of March about minimalism. But I think let me, sorry about this, I'll have some water. But as I said in the beginning about the, let me check and let me turn that on, about the what do you call this? Those who weren't here in the beginning, that I've actually today we agreed with Jimmy Cheng from Red 35 that we will have a photo chat once a week on Clubhouse. And Clubhouse is a new app that has been, kind of like a buzz thing and very popular in the recent days and months that people been joining. And the thing is that it unfortunately so far it's only iOS and only invitation. So if you don't have the invitation, then unfortunately you cannot get in. But if you can get an invitation from some of your friends, you could ask around. And it's audio only, and it's kind of like a podcast, Zoom meeting, and a live stream combined. It's a very interesting thing. So if you're not familiar with that, then look around in YouTube, for example, and make a search for Clubhouse and see. And then it will be a photo chat with Jim. We will be talking in the first episode next Sunday afternoon in European time. So it'd be early morning in the States and late night in Asia. But it will be around, I think we agreed about 3 p.m. GMT on next Sunday. And we will be talking about bokeh and what it is and why it's important, or is it important. And we will have about a 30-40 minute chat about that. And then there will be a Q&A. You will be able to ask questions. But it's totally new to me also. So I don't know how the whole thing will go, and how will we pull it off. Don't know, but it's experimenting, but I hope I can see you there also. And I have to really say, as a conclusion of this, that I was really amazed of the quality of the images. And the sad thing is that there were a lot of good images that I just could not fit. I have to make a cut from somewhere. One is, of course, it's impossible to go through 80 images at once in one live stream, and because it's impossible. And then, of course, to have it in 2 hours when people actually want to watch it, and because we still have over 100 people here, which is astonishing. And I will hopefully see you in my next video, and most likely my next video will be about telephoto lenses, because I had this wide-angle lens last Friday, and then next Friday I'll most likely, if I can get finished. I have some other options too, but it depends on a bit of the weather, so that I can finish my telephoto video. But if you like this video, please hit the like button, and if there is someone who hasn't subscribed to my channel yet and is interested in content like this and other content that I make, please subscribe. And those who have, I want to thank you so much, and those who sent those images, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to watch and see the great work you're doing. And I will see you in the next one. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.